Hello. Going live. Hello. How's everybody doing this evening? My name is Brittany. I said I have a viewer. Let me know you're in the room. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Mr. Allen, when you get on, let me know. Okay, so hello, hello, how you doing? My name is Brittany. I'm going live. This is my 30-day live challenge, and this is probably about day 12 or 13. Oh, Mr. Allen, I tagged your Facebook page. I didn't tag Hair Elements. So I don't know if you guys seen my post earlier. I made a post saying what I was going to be talking about this evening. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys have seen the commercials online with a lawsuit wanting to suing chemical hair straighteners for causing cancer. Have you guys seen that? I know when I seen it, it kind of alarmed me a little bit, and I kind of wanted to know more about it. Okay, you can see. Let's see how I can join you on. So today I have a guest with me. He's an expert on this lawsuit and how it's going to affect us in our industry. And I'm gonna try to join him on now. Let's see what I could do. Okay. I'm sending you an invite. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? I am Brittany with Brittany's Beauty Bar. I'm adding Mr. Bird on to my live.
There we go.
Hi, Mr. Allen.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hold on a sec here. How about now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, here we go. All right, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, and thanks for having me. So what's going on in this neck of the woods? What are everybody talking about? What's going on?
Okay, so tonight I asked Mr. Allen to join me on my live this evening because we wanted to talk to you guys about the lawsuit that is looming over our industry right now about chemical straighteners and relaxers and how it's causing uterine cancer or cancer in our Black women. And I wanted Mr. Allen to explain to you guys in depth like what this lawsuit is all about, because I know there's some misconceptions.
Yes.
Misconceptions about, does relaxers really cause uterine cancer?
Yeah.
When I first heard about it, I know I was kind of alarmed. And
As were we.
yeah, and I wanted to know how this was going to affect I wanted to know how this was going to affect our industry. So, Mr. Allen,
Yes.
could you take the wheel
Yeah.
and let us know what we should?
Well, the big thing is, first things first. All right, let's just everybody take a deep breath and woosah, because the truth is on our side. I want to say this here. We as an industry, it's our responsibility, it's our primary responsibility to educate the general public on the safety of our products and our services. That's our number one objective. It's no one else's job to do that but us. No law firms, no other industries. It's our primary job to educate the general public on our products and the safety of them. I will say this, as an industry, we've done a bad job of that. We really have. Over the last 20 some odd years, every so often, something would come up, a study or urban myth, or, something about, one of them was relaxers actually being able to go into your scalp through your skin. One myth had someone had skinned their scalp back and there was literally relaxer underneath their skin. It's like some of these things are so ridiculous. We just didn't answer them. We just pretty much let it go, and just in hopes of it just going away. And for the most part, it did. It went away. But every so often they would come up with, this new study, and it would be basically coincide with the potential cultural shift of over-the-counter market and sisters going back to relaxers or leaving the natural hair market. So I did further research, and we found out that really was a culprit. And I was talking to a newscaster a while back, and they asked me this one main question, which made me really think, She said, who stands to benefit the most from these lawsuits? And I really thought about that. So, who does stand to benefit the most? And the ironic thing about that is that the ones that stand to benefit the most are the very companies that's being sued. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's not crazy, because this world is backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, you're right, because what you'll find out. Okay, first of all, I'm like, well, why are L'Oreal, why is Revlon and all these major companies being sued for relaxers when for the last 15 years they have solely marketed towards the natural hair community? That's been their big push. They aren't out here pushing relaxers because relaxers represent a trip back to the salons.
Right.
That's going to benefit them.
So they want people to buy products that they can use at home.
Right. So yeah, go ahead.
I just want to let everybody know, all the new people who are joining, I'm here with Mr. Alan Bird. He's an expert on what is going on in the relaxer, with the relaxer lawsuit, the class action lawsuit that they have with the relaxer companies. Mr. Allen is explaining how the companies who stand to gain the most are the companies that are being sued themselves. So
that's right.
So he's gonna keep on going.
Yes. And so that was, you don't want to sit here and cast aspersions. You don't want to accuse anybody of anything. But that question really sat with me, because I really want to understand, who really is benefiting from this. And I did further research. Now, granted, the science has always been on our side. I'll talk about that later. But I really want to hone in on what the big picture is and the why. Why are they doing this? So once I figured out and answered that question, as far as who would actually benefit from it, I want to know, well, where did all this stuff come from? Where did it all start? And I started doing my research from a cultural standpoint. What I found out is that about 3 years ago, if you go on YouTube, 3 years ago, there started to be an uptick of women that were natural, that were getting frustrated because of the whole natural hair, the whole routine. Okay, and I always tell everyone, when I'm 56 years old, and when I experienced the natural hair movement back in the early 70s, we had 2 items. We had a pick and Afro Sheen. That's all we had. It wasn't all these products you had to buy. Yet it wasn't, pre-poos and shampoos, conditioners and leave-ins and all these different products that these women have to buy in order to come out and be considered presentable, even though they're natural. So what I found is that there has been a legitimate cultural groundswell of a lot of these Black women who are like, they're basically over it. And what you have to understand about cultural changes, they happen every 25 years. Every 25 years or so, it just goes in a cycle. And so we've been on this natural hair, you know, I guess cultural shift for about 20 years. So right about now, you know, they're starting to see the rumblings. And so there was an article that was written and published in Allure magazine in 2021, and the title said, "Why Black Women Are Going Back to Relaxers." And I tell you, that sounded all the alarm bells, because within that article, she referenced quite a few YouTubers who had given their story. And I can say this: when this thing first started a year ago, I was being very defensive, not from a standpoint of me of having anything to hide. I was basically insulted because I know that relaxers don't have anything that's carcinogenic in it, and I know they know that. But I was still trying to figure out, you know, where is this coming from? And when I went on, I clicked those links to that article, and I was really, I guess you say, inspired, because these sisters were telling the truth. They were telling their truth. They were like, listen, I'm over it. It's too time consuming. The texturism that's within the natural hair community is frustrating them. So many women who were 4C are now saying that it wasn't enough for them to be 4C and come out with their little afros. They had to buy all these products, and they had to do all these things in order to be presentable, and they was tired. And they were looking, they had this pejorative word that they use now that I won't repeat on here. They're calling natural hair, you know, N-word, not our N-word, but another one pertaining to German. And so, you know, because they're saying they were so rigid about keeping them in this particular lane. But a lot of these young ladies are like, if I could just, you know, go out and just shampoo my hair and go out with my little afro, it'll be fine, but that's not enough. And so all these companies are pushing all these products that they've got to use in order to get this look, and they're just frustrated. And all they're looking for was a reason, or some out, some off ramp. And the relaxer was basically presenting that. And when I went on YouTube, and I recommend everybody that's watching, go on YouTube and Google natural to relax, and you'll see about 3 years ago, 3 and 2 years ago, that's when it really started. And that's when that article came out. And right after that was when that study came out. So I just wanted to kind of, you know, set the context of, you know, why is all this stuff happening now? Why is it happening now? And so I can tell you the evidence that I found is that it's a cultural war. And I've always told everyone that as hairstylists and manufacturers, it's our job to be on that hair journey with our clients, no matter where they go. Wherever they are, our job is to be there with them. So we, you know, whether it's natural or relaxed or, you know, weave or protective style, whatever it is, you know, it's our job to be there and provide some sort of service or product in order to do that. So I'm okay with that. But the over-the-counter market, they don't do services. They only sell products. And if they just sell products, you know, you're looking at a situation where they're going to lose out immensely.
Okay, so what is the actual lawsuit saying? What is it saying?
So basically, the lawsuit that was rushed out by these lawyers basically claimed that a young lady, 28 years old, acquired uterine cancer from a relaxer. Problem with that, and they cited a study that was done in October, was published in October 2022. The problem with that study is that the study literally asked this question: have you ever used a relaxer, comma, smoothing system, comma, or pressing tool, comma?
And then
so
those not in the same thing.
Right, exactly. Especially not a pressing tool. Pressing tool, not even a chemical.
Right.
Not even a chemical. So how can you? And so when they did that, the headline that they said, I've said it before. The headline literally said chemical. Yeah, this is the headline here. So if you can see that right there, the headline, it says, I'll read it here. You see, can you see it there?
Okay, hair straighteners, chemicals associated with higher uterine cancer risk.
Right. So notice they said chemicals, right? Hair straightening chemicals, right? The problem is a flat iron and a pressing tool is not a chemical. So now we're right back to you know, they're basically they understand us as a people. You know, we know, and people in general, Americans in general, we just read headlines. Headline, and we go with it. You can leave one little word off, and you know it gives a whole other meaning, but you're kind of still in the area. So this even with this headline saying hair straightening chemicals associated with higher uterine cancer risk, it doesn't say that by 70 years old. So this whole thing, they literally, and this is how I feel like, they basically said, listen, we got to come up with something, you know, whatever you got to do. Well, I'm not going to say that. Let me back up. What it looks like to me is that if you are conspiracy theorists, and I'm not that, but if you are, you would think that them including pressing tools in a question about chemical relaxers makes you think that something's not right. And so when they did this study, they also, I guess their numbers still didn't come out right. And then now they went and said, well, okay, well, we're saying it's going to include a 4% chance of uterine cancer by the age of 70. And that's very, very key. Because you think about it now, they tried out a 28-year-old lady to say she had uterine cancer, citing a study that literally said we could not come up with a risk factor, anything pre-menopause. So the closest they could get was 4%, all the way at age 70. And I don't know how many women have a uterus that's going to be, you know, needing this particular I guess you say needing the uterine at 70 years old. But I don't know too many that do. But you know, from a health standpoint, you know, you're like, okay, is that really news? Because by 70 years old, we got so many things wrong with us at that point. We about, you know, I think the life expectancy of a Black woman is like 79 years old. So we're not far from that anyway. So I'm like, are you really telling us something, you know, that's new? And the fact that they tried out a 28-year-old having a study that did not say that we got no risk factor for anything basically pre-menopause, which is what, by 50 on average, you know, you had to be at least 50 years old to even start to get that. So, you know, those are the inconsistencies that are in there, and they start this whole big uproar. So that was the main thing, that they basically said that a flat iron, and this is how the question, think about this here. It's a last question. Have you ever had, and you have to answer yes to this question. Have you ever used a relaxer, comma, a smoothing system, or a pressing tool? Now, if you didn't use a relaxer, you didn't use a pressing tool, let's say you've been natural for the last 20 years, but you flat iron your hair, okay?
Got it.
You answer yes to that question. So once you answer yes to that question, let's say you happen to contract uterine cancer, you know, at 65 or 50 or whatever, or at any point, your number goes into that pool.
So they're using these, they're kind of like tricking us almost. Yeah. They're using wordplay.
Yeah, wordplay.
And then us answer questions that, you know, it puts us in a category that we necessarily are not in.
And they're relying on us not to read. So basically, I want to read this one thing about that study, because what they did. They knew that study was misleading, right?
Right.
So what they had, they read in their, they actually literally had in their study on the page of, I guess I read it so many times I kind of know it by heart. At the bottom of page 7 of the study, they literally said, because we included pressing tools, which are not a chemical, it may overestimate our association. So if you knew that that you include a pressing tool and a flat iron and just question would mess up your data, why would you even publish it in the first place? That's the question. But so, go ahead.
So, if you're finished with your
thought, I am.
I just wanted to know, like, what is going on now? Like, what should we be looking out for? Okay. Are these lawsuits, are they gonna go through, or are they still in the process of trying to recruit people? Okay. Like, what's going on now?
Well, what they've done, they spent about, Reuters did a story. They spent about $6 million on advertisement combined to get this thing drummed up. So what happened with the lawsuit it got MDL status, which is multi-district litigation status. That's basically a lawyer term for class action lawsuit. Okay, and got remanded up to Chicago. So that's where it's at currently. They just had a hearing about 2 months ago. Just January? I think around October they had a hearing, and a lot of the cases that got basically struck down. I guess all of the cases were all combined at one time. So quite a few of them had got thrown aside, but a few of them were allowed to proceed. So what they're going to do now, the current status of the lawsuit now is that, which really blew me away, they're going to do what they call a bellwether trial. These are all legal terms. They're going to do a bellwether trial to basically see what potential litigants might say at this trial. I guess it's a way to have the plaintiffs decide if they want to proceed with the lawsuit or not. But here's the catcher. The bellwether lawsuit isn't till November of 25. So we got to wait 2 years. And so again, you're thinking, who really stands to benefit from it? So if you spend the next 2 years trying to poison a potential jury or putting out more propaganda, more lies, whatever you can do to continue, because I do, based on the evidence I have now, I can say that they're probably want to make sure that they continue to stop as many women as possible from going back to relaxers. And over the next 2 years, they're going to be, they're going to continue to push these commercials, push these things, these this propaganda in order to kind of hold the line. Because if they don't, they're standing to lose a lot of money. Because just think if everybody says, I want to go back to relaxer and I'm just tired, and they have billions and billions of dollars. When I tell you billions of dollars for natural hair program, there's I'll give you on here. I put a link. The YouTube show where they did CNBC did, it's called The Business of Black Hair. And I was shocked at the amount of money that these women are spending on natural hair products. I mean, using they even have a term called pre-pooing now. You heard that before?
Yes, I have. The YouTubeologists that come in the salon, they tell us how they pre-shampoo their hair with, I don't know, like
a conditioner. Yeah, a conditioner. Yeah, they pre-poo it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's
everything to sell products. It's crazy.
That's another YouTube video. But if anybody has any questions for Mr. Bird, you could drop it in the chat. If you I do want to know what we can do as a community, as stylists, just to get the word out there, or so these lawsuits don't come to fruition.
Well, the thing is, again, like I said, take a deep breath and just understand what our primary job is as industry professionals, right? And that is to continue to educate everyone we can, have the information available, and just educate your clients on it. And don't assume that they know, about our products. So understanding, the basic science of our products that are sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide are non-carcinogenic. That what we are going to do is have your hairstylist, we have what we call MSDS sheets. They're called material safety data sheets, okay? And they look something like this here. We're going to have, you guys have these sheets on hand. And what they are, they're required by the government to have, for us to, as manufacturers, to have on hand. And it basically goes over everything. It has the chemical substance product, the hazardous information, the hazardous ingredients, health hazards, precautions, and there's one main here. It's called your toxicology information, okay? And these things are standard. So the toxicology information is one of the main things that says that all the products ingredients in our products are non-carcinogenic. So what we've got to do as hairstylists, as manufacturers, is understand that we're no longer operating in a vacuum. That in this day and age of information that's everywhere, it could be good information, it could be bad information. So we've got to know the theater that we're operating in now. So we've got to be informed as well to basically fight back these rumors and these things that are there, so that we can continue to just educate the public. That's the main thing. I'm not here to, because the one good thing is truth is on our side. I assure you, I can say with all the positive surety that Hair Elements products, my colleague Ron, who sells Nairobi, I know our products do not have anything that's carcinogenic in it. Now, one more thing, a bit of a trivia. Do you know what product actually has sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, and thioglycate all in one? Do you know what product it is?
I do, but I want to see
Yes.
if our viewers want to answer that question. I think I do.
I talked to you about it. Yeah. Do you know what product has all three of the so-called harsh ingredients that are in one of the relaxers each? There's an ingredient out there now that has all three of them at the same time. Does anyone know what that is?
Give them a few seconds. I mean, before we go to that answer, I do have a colleague of mine who, since this lawsuit, she now requires her clients to sign waivers before getting any type of chemical service, just because of the lawsuit. So I know people who have been getting relaxers since they were little kids. They're grown women now, and they're fine. It just made you nervous. It was very nerve-wracking. But if nobody's going to answer the question, I'll just say it's Nair.
Yes, Nair. And no one's going after Nair, are they? I have a picture. As a picture of, if you go to the Nair website, they're going to have a picture of this lady covered in Nair from neck all the way down her body. She has Nair all over her body. And Nair has exact same ingredients. In fact, all three. It's a sodium hydroxide relaxer. It's a sensitive hydroxide relaxer. It's sensitive cat relaxer and a curl, all in three. And that's why Nair literally takes the hair off. So if Nair is not considered carcinogenic, and you can literally, on the Nair website, they tell you how to use Nair in the pubic area. In the pubic area, and no one has an issue with that. But now they want us to believe that if you put a relaxer on the new growth, not the scalp, okay, and you rinse it out and it's neutralized, that's going to travel past your head all the way down to your pubic area. But they got products right now that do that, and they're okay. So again, it's just for us to really understand and educate our clients. The very first thing is that if we understand our products and just understand the environment that we're in, that we won't get defensive, because there's no need to. It is basically reassuring them. Now, we'll say this. What does upset me is the fact that if these government, because this is a government entity, if they were truly interested in finding out what it is that's causing so much cancer, then they would have come to us as an industry and asked us these questions a long time ago. Because all these studies at the very end, they always say one thing, or two main things they say. Number one, we did not test any of the ingredients in the relaxers. And number two, we do not know if those products are the ones that actually were the ones that were being used. So these are simple things. And then it would say further research is warranted. And we're talking about 20-something years now. So just simply picking up a phone and calling and getting some further information would have helped out a lot. And the few times that they did reference a so-called source or site of source, when I went to those sources, I found out that they exonerated relaxers. They were talking about smoothing systems because they did have formaldehyde in them. And speaking of formaldehyde, I need for the audience to understand this. The FDA is not banning relaxers whatsoever. If you go to the FDA's website, they literally say we are banning formaldehyde in smoothing systems, in thermal smoothing systems, because it's the gas from using the thermal flat iron that's causing the irritation and potential carcinogenic effects because of the gas. At no point did they ever say that they are banning relaxers. However, this is where it gets into conspiracy theory to an extent. Every news channel, every newspaper, and I got all the receipts. I saved every last one of them. Every time I saw one, I would email it to myself. It would literally say, FDA is banning, has a proposal to ban relaxers. They never said that. They never said that. So to your point, what can we do? We will be providing a number for the FDA to, for everyone to call. She said the action plan. So because they're going to be in April is when they're going to have their final. They're having a review now, and in April they're going to make the decision as to whether they're going to ban formaldehyde. We support that.
Yes.
We support that wholeheartedly. Like, hey, of course, we never had formaldehyde in our product anyway. So we support that. However, we are going to ask them. We are going to respectfully ask the FDA, because again, they did not put out any false reports. Everything they put out clearly said we're banning smoothing systems with formaldehyde in them because of the gases. They never say anything about relaxers. So what we've got to do as an industry is respectfully request that they clarify that they are not talking about relaxers, because all of the news stations are literally going into salons talking about the FDA ban, and they're standing there with a stylist and she's putting a relaxer on. And again, you know, it's our job. Again, every time I see a hairstylist doing that, I feel bad because I'm a manufacturer and that's my colleague. And I'm like, she should know better. But again, if you're hearing stuff that's from the news, you're like, yeah, you don't know. So again, you know, I take responsibility for that. I take responsibility for our the manufacturers, my manufacturing colleagues. We've got to really get a lot more aggressive in pushing back on this stuff so that you guys feel safe enough and are empowered enough with the right knowledge to not allow a news camera to come in there and talk about, you know, banning relaxers, and you're like, no, that's not the case. You read it wrong. This is what the FDA says right here. So no, you're not gonna do a news article in my salon about relaxer while I'm doing relaxer. Because this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about smoothing systems, and not even smoothing systems that are made in the United States. The ones that are made here we use it's called technically S-lysine silk protein protein that's non-carcinogenic. So again, the smooth systems that are made by a lot of all my colleagues here in America, they don't have formaldehyde in anyway. But again, we've got to do better.
Keratin treatments, the true keratin treatments, like from, I'm not sure where they're from, so I don't want to put any false.
Right. Well, I can say that they originate from Brazil. The very first one was Brazilian keratin rack. They then the KPC, they had measurable amounts of formaldehyde in them, and the OSHA and the FDA got involved back then. It's like 2015 when they first came on the market. They got involved then, and they told them, y'all got to get that stuff out of here. In fact, KPC said they did, and they kept doing it, and Canada banned the whole product, period. So you can't bring it back here. So the ones that we make, you know, here, you know, it's a protein that we use, but the formaldehyde, it's a type of fixative that, you know, those guys been using for years. You know, we just got different air quality standards here, so we basically you know, we had to ban it because people were getting their noses bleeding, all kind of crazy stuff was going on back then. You remember when it first came on the market?
I do, but I was always scared to use it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Use the smoothing treatments though, but Design Essential, Carafina.
Yeah.
And
those are fine. Those are okay. They never had formaldehyde in them. Hey Viv, how you doing? They never had formaldehyde in them. Again, you know, because it's one of those things where it was all the craze. And I still remember some of my clients like, oh man, you know, this thing, you know, you can charge $400 for it. So I want to go try it out and everything. I'm like, I said, but it's relaxing the hair the same way. But the point was they made it such a high, you know, potential service that a lot of people, you know, not a lot, but some of my clients were lured away by it. But if you did try it, they're like, ooh, that stuff had you run out the salon. So they kind of went back to relaxers. But you know, that was one of those things that and so what happened with that, then they started grouping it together. They started calling them straighteners. You know, they start using the word, if you ever see the word straightener, that's what we're talking about. They'll say they'll lump relaxers in with smoothing systems and then also now curling irons, and they call all of them straighteners. But then they'll take the negative attributes from the formaldehyde, slap it onto the whole overall straightener product, and then you have a issue where you're looking at them basically putting the bad stuff on us. And yeah, Ron, you're right. Hey, Nairobi is protein. There's no formaldehyde in there. There's none at all. You know. So again, and again, like I said, the American system never. And so we defend our American smoothing systems because we've never had the, and again, the formaldehyde is a, what do you call it? It's a paper tiger because the FDA has already did that. So there was a political stunt. This young lady, the Congressman Ariana from Boston, she said she wrote the FDA and told them that there's issues about this relaxer stuff. So the FDA basically said, well, we'll give us something. We'll just say we'll ban formaldehyde altogether. Because beforehand they were like, well, if you're gonna have formaldehyde in your product, it has to be below this level. So I guess there's a bone to throw to it. They said we're just gonna go ahead and just ban formaldehyde altogether. And so then these guys took that and said, see, the FDA is gonna ban relaxers, and they never said that. Never said it whatsoever.
Okay, so what we need to do as a community in South is just get the truth out there. The truth meaning that nothing in relaxers is carcinogenic, and the studies that they are doing and the questions that they're asking, they're asking us about straighteners, they're asking us about pressing combs, they're grouping all these things into one, and you have to answer yes to one of them. But it's not a fair description of what's really going on.
It's not. And then, like I said, if they were truly interested in Black women's health, they would be looking at what the Consumer Reports just put out about the amount of endocrine blocking things that are in plastic that we are ingesting. So if you get into the weeds, and again, I'm trying to figure out how we were going to, put the hay down where the goats can get in such a way, just kind of say so people can understand it, where it's understandable. Because no matter how right all this stuff I have tons and tons. I mean, all these research papers, I read all of it. It does not going to do any good if we can't be able to articulate it to people so that they can understand it. So that's our job. I've spent the last year and a half, sleepless nights because of the unfairness of it. But I refuse to let them win. And so
let me read Vivian's question. I guess what is so confusing, misleading, and alarming to me is that sodium hydroxide, that hair has sodium hydroxide, yet we have yet to hear about that Nair removes hair off our bodies in 4 minutes. A relaxer takes less than 18 minutes to smooth the hair. So why are we not hearing about the lepatory creams such as Nair special on the shelf? Yes, we went over that. But Nair has all 3 of the things that that we make relaxers with, and relaxers, it's going to be one of each, one of them, but Nair has all 3 in
all
it.
3. All 3.
And that's not included in the study. They didn't say anything about Nair.
And what's funny is in the study they turned around and said that perms are totally safe. Like, but perm is we literally have thioglycolate relaxers as well.
Because you have to straighten before you curl it.
You curl it, exactly. But for some way that they're okay. So there are a whole lot of there's a lot of scientific stuff, and we'll figure out ways to get into that. We can make a different live. Maybe to get into like some smaller parts of it, because it's fascinating, because we got all the information from the pH level of relaxers. Relaxers are alkaline. So for relaxers alkaline, the skin hates alkaline states. It won't absorb. If all of your conditioners, all of your things that are if you want something to absorb, it has to have a lower pH. Correct? All of our conditioners are around 4.5. It's the lower it is, all your skin creams, they have a low pH. Why? Because your skin likes acidic level products. It absorbs better. So They literally have in one of their first studies that it's been hypothesized that because we put the relaxer on our hair and it may sometimes burn, that's how it gets into into the bloodstream. Number one, your hair, because of the alkaline state, your skin is going to repel anything. It doesn't want to absorb anything at 13 or 14. It's one reason why you get irritation, because it doesn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, they never looked at it. And I have a scientist who proved that alkaline state products are the skin does not absorb that. They only like acidic products. So there's all these things are out there to refute, these type of things. And like I said, they basically said it was hypothesis. And if you know anything about science,
Mm-hmm.
hypothesis is
what
you think. And it's an educated scientific guess that you must then apply the scientific method to prove the hypothesis. We don't like to say true or not, but it's a scientific term we use for, if you have a hypothesis, but now you got to basically prove it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they haven't even taken that step. But I took the next scientific step, which is, well, if you're saying that the relaxer can absorb into the skin during an application, then the very next question is, well, what's the pH? And if it's 14, or if not 14, if it's 12 or 12 and a half, that's alkaline. Well, does the skin like alkaline state products from an absorption standpoint? No. And sodium hydroxide is also in soaps. It's in everything. We eat. They're products that literally have food that has sodium hydroxide in it because it's a alkaline. I mean, it's a pH adjuster.
Mm-hmm.
So sodium hydroxide by itself is not harsh. But again, all about getting to the weeds with the science stuff. So, what she said?
It's burned from previous irritation caused by scratching or some sort of agitation prior to service, self-inflicted, or because you may have some sort of skin condition having existing inflammation.
Yes, and she's correct. But to top it all off, even if all that were true, if you did scratch your hair and you did get some irritation, the skin still is not going to absorb because the pH level. It doesn't like it. It's like oil and water. And if the irony is, you stand a better chance of skin absorption from a shampoo and conditioner than you ever will from a relaxer, because it's a lower pH. It's acidic.
Made to absorb.
So that's one of those things there.
So yeah. Thank you, Mr. Burt.
Yes, no problem at all. Hey, listen, I'm here for my sisters, my brothers.
I'm glad that you were able to come on and give everybody this lesson on what a relaxer really is. Before we started the live, I looked and seen when the relaxer was made. The relaxer was made in 1909.
Exactly.
So from
Garrett Morgan
to 2024. 3 years ago is when you guys wanted to put out a class action lawsuit, and that don't really make a lot of sense. Like,
it doesn't make sense until you look at the question that the news anchor asked me: who stands to gain the most from this lawsuit? And when I sat back and really looked at it, I said, it's obvious. Yeah. It's obvious who stands to gain from it. And so, but I can tell you this here. It's funny. Ryan and I were talking about this a while back. We, during the relaxer era, we sold a lot of relaxer, but we didn't sell a whole lot of maintenance products. And we didn't have to, because, the maintenance products, are basically, they're not, you don't require a whole lot of maintenance in between. Once you relax your hair, we sold a little silicone spray here and there, maybe a little cream address, but it was low maintenance. Once you got your hair relaxed, as long as you know how to wrap it up that night, you get up in the morning and go. You didn't have to require all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where, we sold a lot of shampoo and conditioner and a lot of relaxer, but in a lot of ways, it was actually cheaper for the client because they didn't have to spend all that money on maintenance products.
Yeah. All right. Well.
So. Yeah. That's it.
All right.
Thank you so much for doing this live.
Mhm.
Thank you, each one that we do. It's a building block. We're gonna continue to do this here just to keep the word out. And like I said, truth's on our side, and we're gonna be okay.
Right, because they have 2 years to prepare
Yeah.
for their trials. So for 2 years, we need to be coming on and setting the record straight as these studies really are.
Yeah, because guess what? Each one here, because my people got it's 5 on here right now. Those 5 gonna tell 5, and the 5 gonna tell 5, and you can continue to do that. Continue to do that, and then what happens is the masses will eventually get the word, and we'll be okay. But again, remember, it's our responsibility ultimately. No one else's responsibility. There's no one coming to save us. Nobody coming to save us but us.
Okay. Well, that was it for tonight, you guys. Thank you for listening. Again, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat. If you are listening to the replay, #replay, and we'll get back with you. Good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks, sister. Appreciate you. Okay. Take care.
Bye.
All right.